Hello, welcome to Alyssa Jean's Reviews, and welcome to my video on my thoughts on this year's Portland Pride Parade and Pride festivities in general, not just the parade. Portland Pride weekend. Happy Pride! Now, if you're thinking to yourself, but it's July, Pride Month is in June, you are incorrect. Pride Month is every month. It's out of necessity. But here in my home city, we actually moved the Pride festivities to July this year. So I just had them this weekend. I got all sparkled up for today. And I decided I would record this while it's still fresh in my head. Although I probably will not actually upload this until Friday because I usually don't upload videos until Fridays. But I'm recording this on Sunday, which is the day that we had our Pride Parade. And just wanted to kind of share my thoughts. This is my second Pride festivities. I came out during COVID. Well, I never went to Pride pre coming out. I should have. I just didn't really feel like I belonged, and I was, closeted. So there's a whole thing. Don't feel like getting into it. But I transitioned during COVID, so there was no Pride festivities. And then last year was my first one that I did a couple videos about last year, and this year was my second one. So just wanted to share my thoughts, not just on the parade, but the whole weekend, because on Saturday I participated in a trans march, and then went and hung out. There's a little festival thingy by the waterfront, hung out at that for a bit, then did the Dyke March, and then went to my favorite queer bar and hung out. So I did that on Saturday, and then on Sunday, spent a lot of time in the parade. Had a couple of my friends hanging out with me, my straight cis friends. One of whom had been to Pride Parade before, one who hadn't, and so it was fun to have them. And then met another guy, a friend of a friend, came with us too. And then we went out after the parade, went and had some drinks at my favorite queer bar. And I'm kind of tired, but it was a really fun time. So just kind of sharing my thoughts. I'll start with yesterday. I think in a lot of ways that the marches were more satisfying for me, because those are more to me resembling, I don't want to say protests, but I mean marches. March is a good word for them. But they are more similar to what I would think of as a protest. There's a lot of chanting going on, a lot of being in our own power. One of the most common chants was, "We're here, we're queer, we're fabulous, so don't fuck with us." So that was fun. At one point, people started getting into the ACAB chant, like, "All cops are bastards." And there were cops, like, they were doing it in front of the cops, like they were just there to like direct traffic and whatever. Like, I don't know. That made me uncomfortable. Okay, so in the back of my head, like I always am afraid, because I live in this country, of somebody's gonna show up to one of these things with a gun, and things are gonna get ugly, and that's a thing that could happen. And I don't just have this fear for pride events, but like anything. I have this fear for concerts too, that one day I'm going to be at. concert and I'm going to be high on acid or something, and somebody's going to start shooting, and it's going to be the worst thing ever. And it's a thing that can happen because I live in the United States of America. Um, Now, granted, I'm not paralyzed by my fear. I still go out and do all of these things, obviously, but it's in the back of my mind that something like this could potentially happen. So, on the off chance that something like that should happen, who are we going to count on to protect us? Those cops that are there. So we're going to chant, all cops are bastards. I mean, I know where it's coming from. I get it. Um, I am not a huge fan of the police in general. The whole system of police is fucked up in this country. But that was not the time or place to be chanting that, and they're not doing anything. I like generally I'm opposed to antagonizing anyone who's like not actively harming you, and we don't know that that particular cop standing there. I mean, honestly, are all cops bastards? I don't think all anything is anything. Like you can't make a blanket statement about anything. So I don't know. That made me uncomfortable. Someone, something happens. Like we need those guys, so let's chill with the all cops and bastards in that particular situation. In other situations, maybe it's appropriate. Not that one. Um, that's just me. I know there's probably a lot of people totally disagree with me, and just like fuck all the cops. Let's just call them bastards all the time. I just disagree. um, I just disagree with any black or white statement about anything. I think everything is nuanced. That's how I see the world. I see the world in rainbows, nuances and multiple colors, not just black and white. Um, but I was thinking about like what happened. Well, actually, it felt like to me like if someone actually did come in with a gun, that we all it just felt so powerful. Like we were all in our power that we would just overrun them. And in reality, probably not. That probably wouldn't be what happened, but it felt that way because it was a very powerful march. Like it just felt like we all together were creating this power of togetherness. Um, and it really did feel like it would be hard to hurt us. Although in reality, I mean, it's probably not true, but that's what it felt like. It felt like it was very powerful. Um, and then I came back up, um, went down, hung out by the waterfront, and then the Dyke March came back up the opposite direction, same route. And it's interesting. Most of the chants from the Dyke March were pro-trans, protect trans kids, trans rights are human rights. Also, chants that happened to the trans march, obviously, but they were in the Dyke March, which warms my heart because this is what we need. I've said this in previous videos: is for all of us to come together. The trans community is the community that is most under siege, although the whole entire LGBTQ community is under siege. But the trans community, trans kids in particular, are most under attack by laws all around the country. So to have members, other groups within the LGBTQ community uniting to, chant and fight for trans rights warmed my heart, especially since I have encountered the turf lesbian, and I know that most lesbians will tell me the turf lesbian, like nobody likes them. We hate them too. Like they just need to shut the fuck up. Like they're such a vocal minority, but unfortunately, a very, very vocal minority. So I'm always in the back of my mind kind of afraid of them. I'm afraid of a lot of things in the back of my mind. Thankfully, not in the front of my mind because I don't live in fear. But I'm afraid of a lot of things in the back of my mind. And turf lesbians is another word. So it's like very gratifying to unite with the Dyke March in that way, and met a lesbian who recognized me from the Tomorrow's Verse, which is the local fish bar, fish being the band and not the food, PHISH, Fish, the band, my favorite band. So, and I met a woman who recognized me from that, and you know, I need more of that. Like I need more queer people who are into fish, and there's very, very few of them. I need to find them all and then like make connections with them. And honestly, that's probably if I'm ever going to be partnered up with someone again, and probably it's going to have to be a queer person who's into fish. And there's like what 10 of us in the world, not very many. Um, Now, that might be surprising for those of you who are familiar with my channel. My channel focuses on Star Trek, which is another obsession of mine. But Star Trek, there's a lot of people like it. That's not the most important thing to me. Like as far as finding a partner, like I spend a lot of money and time and investment and energy and just seeing fish shows, and it is a really huge part of my life. Whereas Star Trek, if they didn't like Star Trek, I can watch it when they're going to bed. That's not a big deal. There's more queer people who are into Star Trek than there are into fish, though. There's a lot of queer people in the Star Trek. Actually, most of the major YouTube channels about Star Trek seem to be queer people of some stripe or another. But this particular person I was talking to, she's partnered up. I'm not saying that I was interested in her or anything, but like it was just like a thing where, oh, good, they do exist. I need like more, more of them, find more of them. Yeah, and then I went and hung out at my favorite queer bar, and I always have a great time there, especially during Pride. And then today, did the parade last year. I talked about my experience marching in the parade and how exhilarating that was. This year, I wanted to watch the parade so that I could see all of the things. Because last year I didn't really get to see that. By the way, I should mention it's hot as fuck both days. It was hotter yesterday though. Today wasn't as bad. Where we were standing to watch the parade, there was some shade, but then the shade moved back. So we had to kind of move back with the shade, but then we were farther away from the parade. So in order to see the parade, we had to walk back in the sun for a little bit. I mean, you can still see it, but to get close to it, you had to walk back in the sun a little bit and then take a shade break and then walk back in the sun a little bit. It is hot. So that is the difference of having it in July. Last year, it was mid-June, and mid-June in Portland is a crapshoot as far as what the weather is going to be. It could be hot, it could be cold, it could be rainy, it could be cloudy, it could be sunny, it could be anything. Last June, when we had Pride, it was cold and wet and cloudy and rainy and damp. The sun did come out at the end, but this year it's July, so it's freaking hot. Yesterday, after I did the Trans March, there's all these fountains in downtown Portland. Me and the people that I was with yesterday, like, just walked straight into the fountain, and it was like the most amazing thing ever. Today, I'll watch the parade. It was a long parade. It was like 3 hours, and it was still not done. And we finally just started walking toward the back of the parade so that we could see everything and not miss it. And what I noticed, like watching the whole parade, is I feel like the first half of it, like this is not 100% true. There's exceptions to all the rules, but I feel like most of the first half, if not more than half, was like the corporate stuff. So it was all the businesses. There was, Alaska Airlines, there was Delta Airlines, there was T-Mobile, there was PG&E, and it's our electric company here. There was like it was all like businesses and corporate stuff, and I have mixed feelings on that. On the one hand, are they just taking advantage of us to make a buck? To like, oh look, we're LGBTQ friendly, buy from us. But on the other hand, Target bailed. These other T-Mobile didn't apparently, and these other companies are sticking with us, although they haven't been directly assaulted by the right wing the way that Target or Bud Light have. So I don't know if T-Mobile was directly assaulted. Oh, you went to the Pride Parade? Fuck you, T-Mobile, whatever, you fucking fags. I don't know what they would do to T-Mobile, but like, would they fold? I don't know. But for now, they're with us. So, I mean, that's something. And I kind of was thinking a bit more of a people perspective, that the people marching with these companies presumably were the employees, and presumably some of them at least got to be LGBTQ. If they're maybe some of them are just supporting, but they're just they're not. That's not the there was the CEO of Timo wasn't out there. It was like people who worked there. Intel is another one. Intel I saw. Bunch of ones like those are the employees. So then if I focus more on the people aspect of it, then it eases my mind a bit because these are human beings that are out here supporting the Pride Parade, and presumably at least some of them actually are LGBTQ themselves. In fact, some of them I'm almost sure were. So if you look at it that way, yeah, it eases my mind. And so ultimately, I'm okay with that. But I will say that seeing the corporate stuff does not like just pump me up or just get me excited as seeing the back half of the parade, which was a lot more of the organizations that are directly supporting LGBTQ youth or LGBTQ rights or minorities or and then the unions came. There was a string of like different unions that were like chanting like there was, and it reminded me of the trans, like I think marches are more my thing, like protest marches, like where there's chanting. um and then I was like, yeah, the unions, roar! Like there was some you were in like chant. There was one that was chanting in favor of the writers' strike, and so I'm like, yeah, union, roar! um, and then there was like different dances coming. There was the samba dance. I took a video. If you follow me on Instagram, I posted like a few seconds of a samba dance that was going on. It was really cool. And there was like the country dancers who were dancing in the back of their truck. And then there was more, and then the cheerleaders came. There was more fun and dance and more organization. Like I feel like there was the corporate's fine. Like I'm not knocking it. I just was more excited about the dancing, the fun, and the like organizations that are actually supporting different groups. And there was an indigenous organization, a Native American organization. There's a bunch of different groups like that, and that was just more interesting to me, I guess. That was fun. So I'm not saying like you should just get rid of all the corporate stuff, but I don't know. If I've worked at a company like that and they're like, "Oh, march in our Pride Parade with us," I honestly would probably prefer to march with the trans group than the one I did last year than some dumbass company I worked for. But that's just me. I don't know. Um, uh, but I don't work for a dumbass company, though. I work for a school. Anyway, so that's what really got me more pumped up. Oh, and I'm going to show you a screenshot of this because at the very, very end, I saw this while we were walking. I started walking toward the back of the parade. We're walking up to try to find some place to get something to eat. We were getting hungry, and there was like Star Wars organ or something. I forget. They're like when we were walking by them, there was like announcers, like at certain part. It was like the Channel 6 announcers or something, like news people were up there on a what do you call it, scaffolding, like doing commentary, which in certain parts of the parade there are people making commentary, and they were like, oh, it's Star Wars Oregon, they go and do like events for charity and for children or something. I'm like, I guess they go and perform Star Wars stuff. I don't know, never heard of it. But let me show you this picture. The stormtrooper dressed up in he had stripes all on his rainbow stripes, and then they're wearing a rainbow flag as my favorite thing of this whole day. It was like the Pride stormtrooper was my favorite thing because I'm a geek, I'm a nerd, and combining Pride with my nerdery will always warm my heart. So I love the Pride Stormtrooper. Um, there was a Darth Vader there too, but he wasn't Pride Darth Vader. He was a regular Darth Vader. But so that was great. Um, and again, took my friends to my queer bar that they had never been to, and like this is my place. So it was a great day. So um, overall, wonderful weekend. I love my Pride experience, and I know there are people out there who are bitter on Pride, and a lot of that does have to do with the corporate aspect of it, and a lot of people have other beefs with it. But for me, never having experienced it until last year, I think now having experienced 2 years in a row is like a weekend that I will always look forward to, whether it's in June or July, or if they want to put it in August, or if they want to put it in friggin' January. January probably wouldn't work, be a little bit cold. But point is, like, whenever they want to have it, I think June or July are probably going to be the best bets there. I will always go if I can help it, unless something is keeping me from going. And I'm always look forward to it. It's just a gathering of people being in their power together, and it's a gathering of people just showing unconditional love and happiness and great vibes. There's a lot of crossover between this and the fish shows, so I don't know. I just don't get why there's not more crossover in the people between fish shows and the queer community. There's very little cross, but to me, it's the good vibes and the happiness and the love. There's a lot of crossover for me personally. So had a great time, and it is the end of the night for me. So I'm recording this the day of Pride. I'm still wearing I got all sparkly up. Here's another picture of me earlier in the day, before I got exhausted and sweated off a lot of my glittered makeup and stuff in the heat. Yeah, good times. Okay, everybody, I think I'm gonna wrap it up this video. And I will be back next month to do another trans themed video in August. Not sure what I'm going to do. I had one in mind and it slipped my mind, and I'm sure I'll think of it again. So I'll be back. Also, of course, if you're into Star Trek and that sort of thing, Star Wars and stuff, mostly I'm doing Star Trek now. I've got my Star Trek Top 100. You should subscribe, check out all that stuff. Also, you can check out my previous videos on my life as a trans woman. So check out all of it, and I will see you really soon. Goodbye, everybody.